Hello and welcome to the explanation of the modal verbs for your Aptis preparation course. So, what are we going to say? The modal verbs include can, must, may, might, will, would, and should. These are used with other verbs to express ability, obligation, possibility, many things, but there are two things I want you to understand. When you think about modals, think about the rebels of English. Why would you call them rebels? Well, first of all, they do not follow rules. They don't follow these rules. What rules? The rules of other verbs. For example, we just saw in the last topic that if you want to say no or if you want to ask a question, you need an auxiliary. Well, guess what? You don't need it here. Modal verbs can serve as auxiliary verbs. So this is why you cannot say, I don't can. You have to say, I cannot. Meaning, you don't need an auxiliary if you want to use modal verbs. Secondly, you don't need an auxiliary verb to ask questions. This is why you don't say, do you can? You say, can you? It is a very different context because can is a verb. This time is a modal verb, so no auxiliary verbs are needed. And the other one is that, for instance, with regular verbs, with standard verbs, with normal verbs, you need to actually have, for instance, S in the third person. So you say, she goes. But she don't say she cans. What I mean by this is that modal verbs are opposite to auxiliary verbs, and modal verbs actually help construct sentences in their own way. So the conjugation is the same for all of them. I can, you can, he can, she can. And for negatives, I cannot, you cannot, he cannot. This is pretty much what you have learned. I'm going to go over the uses. You use can to express an ability. For example, I can speak a little Russian. Very simple, I guess. If I want to use an ability that I don't have, well, I can say I cannot speak Russian, meaning I don't have the ability to speak Russian. This one here says if we want to request permission, so you say, can I go with you? Can I open the window? Can I do it? If I do that, I'm going to be using can to request permission. Then we have the auxiliary verb, the modal verb may. This modal verb may is used to express a possibility, a 50-50 chance. For example, I may be home late, meaning I'm not sure, it could happen. It may happen. If I say it may happen, it is just a 50% chance. Then you use may to request permission in a more formal way than what you would do with can. So you say, may I sit down, please? If you say, may I sit down, please, it means you're using this verb in a more formal context. But the meaning is the same. Must. You use must if you want to express a strong belief. If I see a guy driving a Lamborghini, I say, oh, he must be rich, because nobody drives a Lamborghini unless they're rich or have a lot of money. Then we use should if you want to give advice. So, for instance, here, you should stop smoking. That's my advice. You should go to the gym. That's my advice. You can also use should in a negative sentence, like you should not smoke. You should not fight. then we use would for two purposes. First, to request or offer something. For example, would you like a cup of tea? I'm offering something. Or you can use would in if sentences, meaning if you have this, if you have conditional sentences, you can use if. Then we can also say that modal verbs are unlike other verbs. They don't change their form. They have no infinitive or participle. The modals can or must can be used to express obligation or ability. So there are many other things that you need to understand, but these ones are the ones I want you to clearly understand the way you use them. I would honestly add another auxiliary verb, another modal verb, which is have to. Have to is also used as a modal verb, and then you just want to add it up. But then everything is okay. I hope you understood this part of the lesson, and I'll see you in the exercises.